quite frankly, I don't really care about articles. I really don't. I don't care about stories. I don't care about podcasts and all that type of shit. They don't bother me. I'm 41 years old and I watch golf every day. I don't care about an article. I don't care how somebody feel about me.
That was LeBron James responding to an explosive ESPN report revealing Lakers owner Jeanie Buss privately resented him, considered trading him to the Clippers, and felt he wasn't grateful enough. But buried in that same report, allegations that LeBron attacked his own coach. What Jeanie did next shocked everyone. The bombshell report that shook the Lakers. On the heels of what should have been one of the most triumphant victories of the Lakers season, a stunning second-half comeback against the Denver Nuggets, where the opposition scored just 37 points in the final two quarters, resulting in a 115-107 Lakers victory, the headlines became dominated not by basketball excellence, but by organizational chaos that threatens to tear apart one of the NBA's most storied franchises. This was supposed to be a moment of celebration, a statement win against one of the elite teams in the Western Conference. Instead, the basketball achievement was completely overshadowed by drama emanating from the very top of the organization. The ESPN report by Baxter Holmes, published January 21st, 2026, landed like a nuclear bomb on the Los Angeles basketball landscape. The explosive investigative piece dug deep into the complex, fractured relationships within the Buss family as they relate to control over the Lakers, revealing decades of dysfunction that most fans never imagined existed behind the purple and gold curtain. This was journalism at its most incisive, pulling back the velvet rope to expose the ugly reality behind one of sport's most glamorous facades. The article painted a devastating portrait of the post-Jerry Buss era with the Lakers, defined by sibling infighting and subterfuge, attempted coups, and deep familial distrust. This was not merely another piece of sports gossip or rumor-mongering designed to generate clicks and controversy. This was a detailed, meticulously reported examination of how one of the most valuable sports franchises on the planet had been torn apart from within by the very family entrusted to protect its legacy and carry forward the vision of the man who built it into a dynasty. At the center of this storm sat Jeanie Buss, the Lakers governor, who had served as the team's controlling owner since her father's passing in 2013. The report detailed how several of the Buss siblings felt shock related to the decision to sell their majority stake to Los Angeles Dodgers owner Mark Walter, a move that Jeanie spearheaded herself. The sale valued the franchise at a staggering $10 billion, making it one of the largest transactions in sports history, but the money could not mask the family fractures that the deal both exposed and exacerbated. But the Buss family drama, as explosive and unprecedented as it was, represented only half of the story that would captivate basketball fans around the world and dominate sports media coverage for days. The other half involved the relationship between Jeanie Buss and the greatest player to ever wear the Lakers uniform in the modern era, LeBron James, a four-time NBA champion, four-time MVP, and the league's all-time leading scorer who had come to Los Angeles with the explicit promise of restoring excellence to a franchise that had lost its way. According to the report, Jeanie reportedly felt James had an outsized ego, and the tension between them had been simmering for years beneath the surface of public pleasantries and championship celebrations. Sources within the organization claimed that Buss didn't like how he was viewed as the savior of the Lakers franchise when he joined the team in 2018. The narrative of LeBron James rescuing a floundering franchise apparently grated on an owner who believed the organization's prestige should speak for itself. Think about that for a moment and let the magnitude of it sink in. The owner of the Los Angeles Lakers allegedly harbored resentment toward the player who delivered their first championship in a decade because she felt he received too much credit for the transformation. The player who restored excellence to Hollywood basketball. The player who made the Lakers relevant again after years of wandering in the wilderness of lottery picks, failed rebuilds, and embarrassing seasons that saw them miss the playoffs entirely. The player who fulfilled his promise by bringing a title to Los Angeles. The report detailed additional points of friction that painted a picture of a relationship deteriorating over time rather than strengthening through shared success. Buss reportedly believed James showed a lack of accountability, particularly in relation to the Russell Westbrook trade that spectacularly backfired and set the franchise back years. She allegedly felt that James shifted blame to others rather than owning the outcome of a trade he himself had reportedly pushed for heavily. The disaster that the Westbrook acquisition apparently became a source of ongoing tension between the star player and ownership. Perhaps most damning of all the revelations in the report, there was also a tidbit about how Jeanie reportedly didn't think James was grateful for the Lakers drafting his son, Bronny James, with the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA draft. The organization made history by selecting the son of their star player, fulfilling a dream that LeBron had spoken about publicly for years, creating a moment unprecedented in NBA history. And according to these sources, Buss felt the appreciation from the James family was insufficient. The fulfillment of a father's dream to play alongside his son somehow became another point of contention. The report went even further into the dysfunction, revealing that Buss privately considered options like not extending his contract or even trading him, including to the Clippers, though she ultimately approved the extension, partly due to PR concerns, trading LeBron James to the Clippers. Let that sink in for a moment. The Los Angeles Lakers, holders of 17 championship banners, one of the 2 or 3 most prestigious franchises in all of professional sports, allegedly considered sending their franchise player, the greatest player of his generation, to their crosstown rivals. The public relations nightmare that would have ensued, apparently, was the primary deterrent, not any sense of loyalty or appreciation for what James had accomplished. A team source told ESPN she even began to turn against Lakers star player LeBron James. Those words represented a stunning accusation against the governor of a franchise that built its legacy on player relationships and treating its stars like royalty, from Magic Johnson's 30-plus year association with the team to the reverence shown to Shaq to the statue of Kobe Bryant outside the arena. Jeanie privately grumbled, people close to the team say, about what she felt was James' outsized ego and the over-control that he and Clutch Sports, which represents both James and Anthony Davis, exerted over the organization at times. The influence of Rich Paul and his agency had long been a subject of speculation and criticism around the league, with detractors suggesting that Clutch Sports held too much sway over teams where their clients played. But now it appeared that frustration with this dynamic had reached the highest levels of Lakers ownership and was poisoning relationships at the very top of the organization. In the wake of the report's publication, Jeanie Buss issued a statement attempting to extinguish the flames she had allegedly helped ignite through years of private complaints. Through The Athletic, she declared, "It's really not right, given all the great things LeBron has done for the Lakers, that he has to be pulled into my family drama. To say that it wasn't appreciated is just not true and completely unfair to him." The statement represented a complete about-face from the private sentiments attributed to her in the ESPN report. Either Baxter Holmes and his numerous sources had fabricated an elaborate fiction, or Jeanie Buss was now engaged in aggressive damage control mode, attempting to preserve a relationship she had allegedly been undermining for years through private complaints and contemplated betrayals. The timing of this revelation could not have been worse for a Lakers organization already navigating a challenging season filled with injuries and inconsistent play. With the trade deadline approaching in approximately 2 weeks and the team fighting for playoff positioning in a loaded Western Conference, internal drama that pulled in their highest profile player represented exactly the kind of distraction that championship organizations simply cannot afford. The Lakers needed focus and unity. Instead, they got headlines about family dysfunction and ownership resentment toward their best player. LeBron James responds and the family dysfunction exposed. When reporters surrounded LeBron James following a recent Lakers game, notebooks and microphones at the ready, the questions inevitably turned to the bombshell ESPN report that had dominated sports media coverage. What followed was a masterclass in deflection and composure from a player who has spent over 2 decades navigating media scrutiny at the highest level imaginable, weathering controversies that would have broken lesser athletes.
There was an ESPN report that was published yesterday that cited various points of friction between your relationship with Jeanie Buss. How do you feel like the kind of support and appreciation has been from Lakers ownership towards you in the latter stages of your Lakers tenure?
Quite frankly, I don't really get involved in that or the reports or whatever the case may be. I've seen a lot of it, obviously, but I don't really care about the reports, to be honest.
The dismissive tone was vintage LeBron James, a player who has weathered more media storms than perhaps any athlete in history. From the decision spectacle in 2010 that made him a villain across America, to leaving Cleveland twice under dramatically different circumstances, to every coaching change, roster move, and organizational upheaval that has followed him throughout his extraordinary career, LeBron has developed armor against public criticism and media speculation that few could replicate.
You guys know me. You guys know I've been here in my 8th year here, been in this league 23 years. There's going to be another article tomorrow, especially involving me. And at the end of the day, when I came to this organization, my whole mindset was about restoring, excellence.
When pressed about whether he and Jeannie Buss had communicated since the report's publication, about whether any attempt had been made to address the alleged tensions directly, James delivered another telling response that simultaneously dismissed the controversy, while also revealing the distance between player and owner.
Have you guys talked since that came out, like clearing the air, or is that something?
We never talked. I don't understand. Like, it's not like me and Jeannie be on the phone talking. You guys ain't never heard a report about that. Don't make something out of it that is not. It's always been mutual. It's always been respect. It's always been a great partnership. But it's not like I called Jeannie on the phone.
That final comment hung in the air, a rare moment of raw frustration from a player who typically maintains complete composure in front of cameras, regardless of circumstances. LeBron James, at 41 years old, entering his 8th season with the Lakers, was clearly exhausted by the circus surrounding his professional life and the constant scrutiny that comes with being the most famous basketball player on the planet. But the ESPN report contained far more than just tensions between Buss and James. The investigation revealed a family at war with itself, a dynasty tearing itself apart from within. The post-Jerry Buss era with the Lakers has been defined by sibling infighting and subterfuge, attempted coups, and deep familial distrust. The dysfunction ran so deep that it makes other famous family business feuds seem tame by comparison. When Dr. Jerry Buss passed away in 2013, he left his 66% controlling interest in the Lakers via a family trust, with ownership divided equally among his 6 children: Jeannie, Jim, Johnny, Janie, Joey, and Jesse, with each getting 1 vote on major decisions. This structure was designed to preserve family unity and ensure collective decision-making. Instead, it became a recipe for civil war. Jerry had intended for the team to remain in the family long-term, often joking that if sold, the proceeds would just lead them to buy the Lakers again. He reportedly viewed his younger sons, Joey and Jesse, as potential future leaders in basketball operations, grooming them to carry forward his legacy. That vision died with him, replaced by acrimony and power struggles that have now spilled into public view. The dysfunction exploded almost immediately after Jerry's passing. Within a week of Jerry's death, some siblings, including Johnny and Jim, proposed selling the team, a move that others resisted fiercely. The patriarch had been the glue holding the family together, the unifying force whose authority was unquestioned. His absence exposed underlying resentments that had simmered for decades beneath the surface of family dinners and championship celebrations. The 2017 power struggle marked a pivotal moment in the family's disintegration. Jeannie Buss asserted control by firing her brothers Jim, who served as VP of Basketball Operations, and Johnny, who served as VP of Player Personnel and Executive VP, along with other family-aligned executives. This was not a quiet reorganization, but a dramatic purge of family members from positions of power within the organization. This move sparked legal battles and accusations that Jeannie had maneuvered to sideline her siblings and consolidate power for herself. Critics, including some siblings, viewed her as an absolute dictator consolidating power, while supporters saw it as necessary for organizational stability after years of poor results on the court. The truth, as always, likely lies somewhere between these competing narratives. Perhaps the most shocking revelation in the entire report involved a phone conversation between Jeannie and her brother that revealed the depth of family hostility. Jeannie reportedly told her younger brother Joey that he should have never been born, calling back to an agreement that her father and Jeannie's mother originally had about Dr. Jerry Buss not having children with anyone other than her mother, Joanne. This devastating comment allegedly occurred during a call that was supposed to be about Anthony Davis's introductory conference, a move that would ultimately bring a championship to the Lakers. The juxtaposition of organizational triumph and personal cruelty painted a haunting portrait of a family at war with itself, where even moments of professional success could not overcome personal animosity. The dysfunction ultimately contributed to the family's decision to sell their majority stake to Los Angeles Dodgers owner Mark Walter in a deal valuing the franchise at $10 billion. The siblings ultimately voted unanimously to approve the deal, with each pocketing roughly $500 million after taxes, while retaining about 15-17% minority stake collectively. The money was staggering, but it represented the end of exclusive Buss family control after more than 4 decades. Some of Jeannie's closest confidants, including Kurt and Linda Rambies, received bonuses as a result of the sale of the Lakers. $8 million for Kurt, $24 million to Linda. These numbers were specifically chosen because of Kobe Bryant, but the revelation led to significant mistrust within the organization about what exactly was transpiring during the sale process and whether family interests were being properly protected. Shortly after the sale closed, Joey and Jesse were fired from their remaining Lakers roles, with Jesse having been in scouting and player development. This was seen as the final break, ending Jerry's vision of family involvement in perpetuity, especially for Joey and Jesse, whom he had groomed to carry forward his legacy. The dream of a family business passing through generations had been extinguished. The broader implications and what comes next. The chaos surrounding the Lakers extends beyond internal family politics and touches on broader questions about how the organization has been managed throughout LeBron James's tenure. The criticism directed at the franchise during this period was not merely the complaints of frustrated fans venting on social media, but represented legitimate concerns about operational competence at the highest levels of one of basketball's most storied organizations. The Lakers went through a prolonged period of struggles, not making the playoffs, the longest prolonged stretch of the Lakers not being in the playoffs in team history. This was not the Lakers of Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant, organizations that competed for championships with regularity. This was an organization seemingly lost in the wilderness, cycling through young players, hoping Brandon Ingram or D'Angelo Russell or Lonzo Ball would become the franchise savior they desperately needed. The report detailed how Jeanie responded to criticism of her leadership during these difficult years. When external critics called the organization cheap, they were calling her cheap. When critics questioned why she listened to Linda and Kurt Rambies, they were questioning her judgment. When Pelinka came under public fire for the team's roster construction, she took barbs for standing by him. She was quick to label critics as wrong, cruel, and biased. This defensive posture became a hallmark of how the organization responded to legitimate questions about its direction, dismissing concerns rather than addressing them substantively. Consider the Alex Caruso situation as a case study in organizational dysfunction. One of the most valuable sports franchises on the planet chose to let a key player go for financial reasons. There was no other reason to do that for Alex Caruso, who has now gone on to win a championship in OKC and become one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Not to mention the contract the Lakers didn't want to give him wound up being a bargain, an absolute steal of a deal. This was not a difficult decision forced by salary cap constraints. This was a choice to prioritize savings over winning. The Russell Westbrook trade represented perhaps the most catastrophic roster decision of the James era, a gamble that backfired spectacularly. That was a disastrous trade, but the benefit of doing that was Russ was under contract. He was not assigned in trade, which meant the Lakers were not hard capped. The Lakers had the flexibility to keep both Talen Horton-Tucker and Alex Caruso. It just came down to money. The organization had flexibility and chose not to use it. She also came to be known in some circles for turning against those who were close to her and dear to the franchise. She had done so to Jerry West, the Lakers logo himself, the man whose silhouette adorns every NBA basketball, pushed out of an organization he helped build into a dynasty. The message the organization sent was that Jerry West was simply not needed, a stunning dismissal of one of the greatest basketball minds in history. Compare this approach to the new ownership structure and how Mark Walter has operated his other sports properties. When you look at the way Mark Walter has run the Dodgers, it's been a very opposite path. If they're a smart baseball mind, if we're someone that we think we want your brain in our thought process, we want to add this, we're going to find the opportunity instead of saying, well, you're a smart basketball mind, but we don't really need you. The Dodgers have become a model organization precisely because they value expertise and bring in the best people regardless of existing organizational charts. The question of why Jeanie would harbor resentment toward LeBron for being viewed as the franchise savior deserves serious examination in the context of organizational realities. Of course, LeBron is going to be seen as the savior to join the Lakers. If the Lakers were in a good spot and the Lakers had not been losing and losing and losing and had been winning, and they had this cohesive plan and everybody was looking at them and going, man, this team is sharp. This team knows what they're doing. That was not the public perception of the Lakers. The comparison to the Shaq era illuminates the difference in circumstances and why the savior narrative attached itself so firmly to LeBron. That Lakers team, despite not contending for a championship in the post-Magic Johnson era, you look at them when we talk about the Lake Show era, they're at least making the playoffs. They're at least making noise. They're getting there. Then Shaq arrives. Shaq joined a playoff team. LeBron joined a lottery team. But the Lakers that LeBron joined were in an entirely different different situation. LeBron joined, had a bunch of young kids, hadn't made the playoffs in years, had been losing, and frankly, didn't have anything that he was going to join and immediately pour gasoline on the fire and bring them to be a finals contending team. The infrastructure simply was not there. LeBron had to build alongside the organization rather than simply slotting into an already competitive situation. She didn't like that James was considered a savior for the floundering franchise when he arrived in 2018, that it was he who chose the Lakers rather than the team's leadership receiving praise for landing him. This sentiment allegedly persisted despite LeBron delivering exactly what he promised: restored excellence and a championship banner hanging from the rafters. The championship itself could not overcome the resentment over who received credit for making it happen. The 2020 championship team represented the model for modern NBA success and vindicated the roster-building approach that prioritized fit over star accumulation. They had guys who could defend at a high level, be super switchy, fit right in with Coach Frank Vogel's strengths, and off they went to win an NBA championship. That team clicked from the get-go. Everything worked because the pieces complemented each other perfectly. Then the organization pivoted away from what worked, abandoning a successful formula for a failed experiment. When we talk about roster construction, you paved the way for the future of the NBA, for the model, for roster building, for the types of players that have value in this league, and then pivoted away from it in order to add Russell Westbrook. The Westbrook trade undid the careful balance that had produced a championship just 1 year earlier. When asked about what the team needs to improve, LeBron addressed the roster situation diplomatically while acknowledging the obvious holes.
It's disrespectful to these guys if I start talking about the deadline and what we need to do and what we had to get better, whatever the case may be. I don't try not to play fantasy basketball too much.
The respect for his teammates stood in stark contrast to the dysfunction alleged at the ownership level. While Jeannie Buss allegedly complained about LeBron's influence and contemplated trading him to rivals, the player himself refused to throw anyone under the bus publicly. The contrast in professionalism was striking and telling. Reports indicate that LeBron James and Rich Paul are scheduled to meet with Jeannie Buss to clear the air in the wake of the story. This meeting comes amid the ongoing 2025-26 NBA season, with the trade deadline approaching rapidly and playoff positioning hanging in the balance. The timing could not be more challenging. Despite Jeannie no longer owning a majority stake in the Lakers, she's still the team governor as per agreement in the sale to Walter, which will keep her on as governor for 5 years. However, given the latest revelations about family dysfunction and alleged mistreatment of the franchise's biggest star, that arrangement might face scrutiny moving forward from the new majority ownership. The saga has been compared to Succession-style drama in media coverage, and the comparison feels apt. A patriarch dies, leaving behind children who immediately begin fighting over control of an empire. Alliances form and dissolve. Betrayals occur. Harsh words are exchanged that can never be taken back. And through it all, the actual product, whether television or basketball, becomes secondary to the power struggle at the top of the organization. For Lakers fans, the question becomes whether this organization can refocus on basketball excellence or whether the dysfunction will continue to seep from the boardroom onto the court. For LeBron James, at 41 years old with more career accomplishments than perhaps any player in history, the question becomes whether he wants to spend potentially his final seasons navigating ownership drama rather than chasing more championships. The purple and gold have represented excellence for decades. The Showtime Lakers of Magic, Kareem, and Worthy, the Shaq and Kobe dynasty that produced 3 straight titles, the return to glory with Kobe and Pau, and yes, the 2020 championship with LeBron and AD that provided joy during one of the darkest periods in American history. But excellence requires organizational alignment from top to bottom, and right now, the Lakers appear to be anything but aligned. LeBron James came to Los Angeles promising to restore excellence. He delivered a championship. He fulfilled his promise. The question now is whether the organization around him is capable of supporting that mission going forward, or whether the Buss family drama will ultimately be remembered as the reason one of the greatest players ever couldn't accomplish even more in purple and gold. Thanks for watching. Check out other cards on the screen.